Hey everyone, this is Hano the Awkward Navigator. So back again for another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, where I'm currently going through the flight training package. Set myself up for circumnavigation of the Earth. So currently I'm up to lesson 7, which is navigation. So following a flight plan from point A to point B. Let's have a look. So flying the Textron Aviation Cessna 152 from Sedona, Arizona over to Flagstaff Pulliam in Flagstaff. So going to be maintaining a heading, calculate flight time to follow a planned route, track aircraft location and flight progress visually via identifiable landmarks. Flight duration 24 minutes. So this one's going to be a little bit longer than some of the other episodes, but obviously flying from one place to another, it's going to take a bit of time, so let's get started. Alright, so here we are.
I've always said, flying is freeing. Open skies, endless possibilities. But to fully enjoy it, you need to be prepared. We're going to focus this lesson on navigation prep and procedures, the fundamentals of getting from point A to point B. Step 1, putting some distance between us and the ground.
Alright, so I guess that's key to take off, so throttle up, part brake off, keep it down the centre, the runway. Head for about 65 knots, and then rotate up, then head towards cruise altitude. Go up. Go flaps down. Head up towards the 5,500
Alright, we're off.
feet.
Now, keep climbing around the airport till we reach 5,800 feet.
Around the airport, so I'll just move around slowly while still climbing. Just hold a circular flight path. Oh. Alright. Get a bit too keen with the angle of attack or approach. Bringing it into a stall. So, need to be a bit wary of that.
It goes without saying, but good navigation starts with good departure prep.
5,800
Let's
feet.
set up the aircraft for the first leg of your trip.
Alright. So, set my trim.
Attitude? Check. Now for your heading. When you need to set and maintain a heading, you'll want to rely on your heading indicator. Compasses are prone to errors, especially during turns or while accelerating or decelerating. Go ahead and position your plane above the airport.
Yep, done.
Oh, one last bit of departure prep. We need to validate the time. That's a fancy way of saying start the clock.
Start the clock. And heading out to Munns Park. 8.5 miles or nautical miles. cruise. Might reduce this. Way to look around in scenery. Look at Sedona, Arizona. Pretty landscape. Try to maintain the same heading. There's the airfield at the back end. Yeah. Slot along to the first waypoint. Thrown around a little bit. Want to win. It's not that strong, but there's a slight push to the left. So coming up to 3.5 nautical miles from the first checkpoint. So Buttons Park, it's written there as well. Estimated time 4 minutes 47 is expected, and we've elapsed for 47 an hour. Still 3 miles to go, so likely there's a headwind which is making us travel a little bit slower. So you can see we're having about 55 knots at the moment, and elevation about 8,500 feet, heading about 50 degrees. So yeah. up to 1 nautical mile from Munns Park. Then from there, change the direction 343 degrees to the Flagstaff checkpoint on the waypoint.
Good. You made it to Munns Park. According to the nav log, we've got one more stop, Flagstaff Pulliam Airport. On the nav log, you can see our next waypoint, Munns Park, is at a 41-degree heading about 5 minutes away. An easier way to navigate is to follow identifiable landmarks like highways, and just so happens we have one below us. Navigating is basically flying a given heading for a given amount of time. Sometimes you deviate, but if you track the time flown from your last known position, you'll always have at least a range for your current position. We all know speed can increase or decrease depending on the wind. That's why at your next waypoint you'll want to compare your estimated time en route with the actual time flown. Validate your estimate and your progress.
Airspeed is 105 knots, 100 knots. So it's fair to say the previous leg when we were heading had a bit of a push in this general direction. And we were flying into that to an extent, so that probably is half the reason why our airspeed was down around 45, 50 knots. So yeah, heading out to Flagstaff Pulliam Airport, 8 nautical miles, and it's ticking down pretty good, so enjoying the speed of this leg. Now we have a runway down there, or highway, sorry. Traffic, and you've got our, so just making out the airfield as well. It's a bit hard to make out features from a long distance because I'm only running pretty modest system, so running a Intel i5 9400F processor, 32 gigs of RAM, solid state hard drive, and graphics cards are RTX 2060, so it's mid-range to be fair really, so performs quite well, provides stable gameplay, rarely have any issues with it hesitating. And also it's able to support Windows Mixed Reality, of which I got the HP 1440 headset, so it's one of the older Windows Mixed Reality headsets. Graphics on that isn't that great, it's quite coarse, but it runs quite nice, smooth, and at a minimum it gives you a bit of an insight into how the VR component of the game works. And I've flown a few times with the VR on, and I've got to say I quite enjoy it, and my intentions for the circumnavigation around the Earth is flying within VR perspective, so prepping the aircraft, taxiing out, taking off, landing, taxiing and shut down, all done in VR, just to provide a little bit of immersion into the experience. And then as time goes on, looking at upgrading my system a bit, so upgrade a graphics card and processor, something a little bit more capable, and be able to bump up the quality levels of the imagery, and yeah, should provide something a little bit nicer to enjoy. So at the moment it's still a little bit, I guess, not realistic, but it's on its way. But I must say the terrain modelling that's used in the game, derived from photogrammetry, satellite imagery, yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, it provides a true to life representation of the real world, and the features, geographical features, cities, landmarks, and other things you might come across. So it's a good way of going out and seeing the planet and exploring areas you haven't been before. So hoping to check out a few unique places and hopefully some challenging flights as well, which will make things a bit interesting and yeah, just make things a bit more exciting. So yeah, under 2 nautical miles now from Flagstaff and Portland Airport, and then you can see the airfields there straight ahead. And my suspicion is we'll be landing there as well, so might bring up the clock again. Now flight time 6 minutes 23.
As you close in on Flagstaff Pulliam airspace,
yeah,
next step is setting up to enter the traffic pattern. We've got clearance to enter the downwind leg and land on runway 21. Keep your attitude, then follow the standard pattern.
Alright. Got some pause the clock. I'll restart, I don't know. Pause it, minimise. Let's head into the downwind turn marker, then set up the traffic pattern. Top part of the runway there for 3, it's a 30 heading, so 21 will be at the other end of the runway. And there's 21 down that end. Go half throttle now, lock a bit of speed off.
Nose to a cruise attitude and reduce your power.
Alright, base turn. So half throttle at the moment, 2000 RPM. On a heading of 30, airspeed around 80 knots. Altitude about 200 feet. Try and hold it steady so I'm not losing too much speed. It's obviously not full throttle. knots, might just bump power up again. 2000 RPM. And set my trim. Okay, trim set now, pretty level.
Power should be at idle now, so you're losing altitude while maintaining cruise attitude.
Final turn, give it a flick around to the left. Try and hold it fairly level.
a landing on runway 21, and we'll call this one done.
Alright, set my flaps. So 2 lots of flaps set. Go half throttle, bring it in for the glide. Set the trim. Yep, trim's pretty good. Just trying to nose down, so throttle down. Oh, bit of a push from the wind. Try and level it out a bit. Glide it down. 70 knots. Try and reach just over the threshold. Coming down. Threshold reached. There we go. Find taxiway. I'll take this one here. Get a braking. Bring it up to the holding point.
Alright, successful VFR flight in the books. Not bad. Not bad at all.
There we go. High brake on. So, there we go. First flight from one location to another using some waypoints. So, took off from runway 21, climbed to 5,800 feet, flew around the airfield, set cruise altitude, and then took off from the first marker and then headed out to Munns Park Golf Club, which was the first waypoint. And then after reaching that, headed out to the landmark navigation, using that to head out to the airfield, and then complete the traffic pattern, downward leg, base leg, final approach, land on runway 21 and pull up off the runway at a holding point. So yeah, 20 minutes pretty much bang on the dot, and yeah, it was pretty good casual flight, so not too bad. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode at least. And then the next one we'll have to have a look, which is first solo navigation, so flying from point A to point B by myself without the instructor giving directions. So yeah, looking forward to that. So well, that pretty much wraps up this episode. A bit longer than normal, but it's what's needed, and successive episodes going to be similar length as well with the legs that will be flying. So if you enjoyed this video and you haven't already, show your support by clicking subscribe, giving a thumbs up, sharing the links, and if you have any feedback or comments, put them down in the comments down below. So until the next one, solo navigation to wrap off the training. Well, thanks for watching. We'll see you around and keep heading for that horizon. Alright, see ya.